God says it's an emergency. Someone from heaven is trying to talk to you about a person who is leaving you forever. This is not a joke. Listen to this with the stillness of the morning before the world wakes, and the vigilance of your heart when it knows something important is at hand. I come to you now not as a thunderbolt of accusation, nor as a distant ruler issuing decrees. I come as presence, as the gentle, uncompromising truth that has loved you since your first breath and will love you when you take your last. If you feel fear rising at those words, breathe. Fear often arrives as a messenger, but what it brings is not always the truth. I will speak plainly, because plainness is a kind of mercy when the situation is urgent. Someone you know, someone whose face has been stitched into the fabric of your everyday life, is on the verge of stepping away. They are not being pulled by fate alone. They are at a crossroads where choice, pride, wounds, and unmet longing meet. You must listen as if a life depends upon it, because in ways both seen and unseen, lives do depend on the small mercies we extend to one another. This message is not a prophecy meant to frighten. It is an invitation to wakefulness. It is a ring at your door at midnight. If you answer, you may bring light into a room that is going dark. If you do not, the dark will do what darkness does. It will deepen. First, remember that every human heart is a complicated place. You have loved and been loved, been hurt and have hurt others. These are not marks of failure, but of being alive. The person in question has their own inner geography, maps you may not know, and when maps go unconsulted, travelers get lost. There may be silence between you that has grown loud. There may be words unsaid because you feared the consequences of speaking. There may be a wound, small at first, that you've walked past each day assuming it would heal itself. This is your call to attend, not because you are to be punished, but because you are to be entrusted. There is a holiness in showing up. There is power in naming what is true with tenderness. Go to the place where your discomfort lives. Ask yourself with courage, what have I done that may have widened the divide? What have I left undone that could have closed it? Take responsibility without being crushed by it. Take courage without pretending you know all the answers. Do not let pride be your interpreter. Pride will persuade you that speaking up is a risk that proves weakness. Pride will teach you to wait until you are certain, until the conditions are perfect, until your heart is armored and safe. But this is an emergency, not the emergency of blame, but the emergency of presence. You do not need to have every word polished. You do not need to script the perfect moment. The perfect moment is often a fiction invented to protect us from vulnerability. Speak from the small, honest place inside you, the part that can say, I see you, I miss you, I am sorry, can we talk? If the person is leaving because they have been hurt, know this: apology is a doorway. Not all apologies will be accepted. Not every relationship can be mended. There are souls whose paths diverge for reasons beyond immediate repair. My counsel is simple: offer what is yours to offer. Speak the truth of your regrets, not as a way to manipulate, but as a way to clear the air. Do not demand the right to be forgiven. Plant the humble seeds of contrition and then tend to them without expectation. Whether the soil receives them or not, you have acted rightly. If the parting is due to fear or confusion in the other person's heart, examine the space you leave when you are busy, distracted, or emotionally absent. Love is not only passion and poetry, love is the daily, gritty practice of being reliable. It is showing up for appointments, keeping promises, listening until the other person finishes speaking, and remembering the small dates that mean a lot. Small things accumulate into an impression larger than the ocean. Do not underestimate the quiet economy of attention. Remember, some departures are not a verdict on your worth. People carry their own thresholds. Sometimes a person's leaving is the result of their internal clock, not a tally of your shortcomings. Let compassion be your lens when you consider that person. Compassion does not make excuses for harm. Compassion sees the whole of the person, the part that stumbles and the part that dreams, and gives space for both. There will be moments when you are tempted to bargain with reality. You may think if you can only give more, change faster, be less demanding, or louder in your pleas, the person will stay. Bargaining can feel like power because it appears to offer control. But true influence rests in authenticity, not theatrics. If you become someone you are not, shape-shifting to be loved, then what you hold on to will not be the person you love, but a shadow of them. Love the person as they are, and show them who you are without omitting your edges. Real connection is forged by truth, even when truth is awkward. Make room for prayer, for action, and for presence. Prayer is not a substitute for action. It is a companion to it. Speak inwardly. Open your hands and your heart. Ask for clarity, for courage, for the humility to accept whatever the other person needs. Then move your feet. Write the letter. Make the call. Send the message. Show up at the place where you once met. Sit across from them and bring patience as your table companion. If fear tells you that this is too late, refuse its verdict. There is rarely a final moment of impossibility when two human hearts are concerned. There are many kinds of endings, the kind that close doors and the kind that open different doors. Even if the person has already chosen to leave, what you do next matters. Respond with dignity. Release with grace. Preserve your own peace by honoring the truth of the situation and accepting what cannot be forced. This is not a sermon about loss. It is an urgent call to presence. It is an encouragement to be awake in the small, defining hours of life. Each moment holds the potential for repair, reconciliation, or a golden closure that leaves both people honored rather than diminished. Consider, too, the role of time. Time is not the enemy of healing. Though unaltered, it can let resentments ossify. Time untended is like a garden left without the gardener. Weeds will come. Use time as an ally. Make appointments. Set reminders to check in. Create small rituals that anchor your commitment. Rituals transform intention into reality. A quick text that says, "Thinking of you," can be a lifeline. A shared meal, a handwritten note, a sincere listening without interruption. These are the small temples where relationships are mended. Do not confuse attachment with love. Attachment clings, love liberates. If your attachment becomes a chain that binds the other person to you against their will, you have crossed into harm. True love respects freedom. It gives, but it never coerces. When you act from pure love, your actions are free of manipulation and full of respect. If the person chooses to leave despite your efforts, permit them that dignity. This is not the end of your story, it is a turning point. And now, practical counsel that you can use in the next 24 hours, because an emergency requires action. Speak without accusation. Use I statements. Name your feelings instead of cataloging their failures. Speak plainly. I have been feeling distant from you. I miss you. Offer a concrete request rather than a vague demand. Can we meet for coffee tomorrow? I want to listen to you. If the person answers with anger or silence, do not retaliate. Take a breath. Offer the space they need. If they refuse, leave the door open, literally and figuratively, with a message that says you are there when they are ready. If reconciliation is possible, agree on one small, realistic change you can both make. Do not attempt to overhaul the relationship in a day. Choose something measurable and tender. One evening a week without phones. A 15-minute check-in each night. A commitment to speak kindly during difficult conversations. Small changes, sustained, reweave trust. If there has been abuse or ongoing harm, the counsel changes. Presence does not require you to stay in harm's way. If you or the other person are endangered, seek safety first. Healing is not the same as staying where one is being harmed. Love protects. It knows when distance is necessary. In such cases, reach out for help from trusted people, counselors, or authorities. You were not made to heal alone. You may feel overwhelmed by the enormity of what is at stake. Break the work into small, bearable steps. Healing is not a single event. It is a long conversation, sometimes punctuated by long silences. It is the patience to show up again and again, and the wisdom to step back when the other needs space. Hold to hope, but not to fantasy. Hope is a quiet companion that stands beside you and breathes courage into your chest. Fantasy airs when it replaces discernment. Hope whispers, try one more time with kindness. Fantasy screams, if you love them, you can fix anything. Choose hope. Choose realism. Hope gives you the energy to act. Realism keeps you anchored to what is true. Remember the quiet power of listening. The person you've been losing may not need solutions. They may need the rare commodity of being fully heard. Listening is a radical, sacrificial act. It asks you to set aside your need to explain, to defend, or to be right. It asks you to be present in the small, trembling moments when someone admits fear or shame. When you listen, the world becomes larger and less lonely for the person speaking. Do not confuse silence with indifference. If the other person withdraws, it may be because they are processing, because they are wounded, because they fear your reaction, or because they need time to gather courage. Offer a steady presence without smothering them. A message that simply says, I am here when you are ready, can be a lighthouse. If reconciliation does come, let gratitude be your guide. Gratitude does not pretend that wounds never happened. It recognizes the work required to cross the chasm and celebrates the courage it took. If reconciliation does not come, let gratitude still be your guide for the time you were given, for what you learned, for the ways it helped you become braver and more honest. There will be nights of doubt. There will be mornings when grief feels like a heavy garment. Allow yourself to feel without letting feeling define you. Pain is not your identity. You are not simply a collection of sorrows and mistakes. You are beloved. Return often to that knowledge. Let it shape the way you speak and the way you move through the world. Pray for clarity, yes, but also pray for peace. Clarity may tell you what must be done. Peace will sustain you while you do it. Ask for the gift of equanimity, the ability to hold both love and loss without losing yourself. If you are tempted to blame the heavens, remember that the heavens do not will harm on you. The world is a place of free will and consequence. My plea to you is to exercise your free will now in a way that honors both yourself and the other. The choices you make in the face of this emergency are the soil from which your future will grow. Plant with care. And now, finally, a benediction for the steps ahead. May your voice be brave and tender. May your hands be steady. May your heart be open enough to receive the truth even when it differs from your wish. May you have the courage to say the things that need saying and the humility to accept the things you cannot change. May you be unafraid to forgive yourself, for in self forgiveness there is a clarity that frees you to love rightly. This message is urgent because relationships are the crucibles of transformation. They make saints and they make us human. When someone is leaving, you stand at a gateway. The way you choose to cross this threshold, with rage, with manipulation, with silence, or with tenderness, will mark not only the fate of that relationship, but the shape of your soul. So act, not out of panic, not out of desperation, but out of love's sober wisdom. Speak plainly, listen fully, offer your apology if it is due, offer your presence if it is desired. Protect yourself if harm exists. Set gentle, faithful rituals in motion. Honor freedom. This is a turning point. Life is calling you to wake up, to show up, to be brave. Take these words as a torch and step into the room where the other person waits, whether they are ready to receive you or not. Do so with grace, for grace is what makes endings holy and beginnings possible. I am with you in the trembling. I am with you in the courage. I am with you when you take a step toward truth. God says it's an emergency. Someone from heaven is trying to talk to you about a person who is leaving you forever. This is not a joke. You are still here, still breathing, and that is enough to take the next step. Do not underestimate the power of one moment of awareness, for awareness is the doorway through which miracles often walk. I am speaking now not only to your mind, but to the deeper chamber of your soul, the place where truth already lives, waiting to be awakened. The urgency of this message continues because heaven's whisper is not faint. It is steady, insistent, calling your attention toward the reality of what is unfolding. The one who is preparing to leave, whether through silence, distance, or finality carries with them a weight you may not fully see. The human heart often hides its deepest aches behind practiced smiles, behind busyness, behind words that never quite reveal the core. If you are attentive, you may notice the cracks, the way their eyes glaze when joy is near, the pause before answering, the moments they retreat into themselves as if guarding a secret pain. Pay attention, heed the signs. What you choose to ignore becomes the very thing that grows until it cannot be contained. This message is not here to crush you with despair, but to awaken you to possibility. Every ending carries within it the seed of transformation. The question is not simply, will they leave? But how will you respond if they do? You cannot always control the choices of others, but you can choose whether you meet them with anger or with compassion, with silence or with truth, with avoidance or with courage. Sometimes the most holy act is to let another soul go with love, not with clinging, not with resentment, but with the sacred blessing that says, I honor you even if your path leads you away from mine. This is not weakness, it is strength disguised in surrender. And in that surrender, there is often a healing no one expects. When you bless another on their way, you break the chain of bitterness that would otherwise wrap around both hearts. But if there is still time, if the door is not yet closed, if the words have not yet been spoken beyond recall, then your calling is clear. Step into the gap with courage. Do not wait for a perfect plan. Do not delay until tomorrow. Today is the ground upon which eternity plants its roots. You are asked to show up, not as a flawless being, but as a willing one. Vulnerability is not weakness. It is the soil where trust grows. Think of the people who have walked with you, those you thought would never leave. Some are gone now, by choice or by circumstance. Remember what it felt like to wish for one more conversation, one more chance to say, I love you, or I'm sorry. Do not let this moment become another regret written into the diary of your soul. Reach while reaching is possible. Speak while the ears can still hear. Love while the heart can still receive. You may think, but what if I am rejected? What if my words are not enough? What if I make things worse? Fear will always whisper these questions. But rejection is not the worst outcome. The worst outcome is silence when love could have been spoken, absence when presence was needed, hesitation when action was possible. Better to risk a wound of rejection than to endure the slow erosion of what could have been saved. If the person is leaving not out of choice, but because their journey in this life is nearing its close, then hold them with reverence. Do not waste time on arguments, on proving points, on rehearsing old grievances. Time is a sacred flame that flickers. Use it to light warmth, not to burn bridges. Speak gratitude often. Say their name with tenderness. Touch their hand as though it is the most precious treasure. The language of presence is often more powerful than the language of solutions. You are not alone in this. Heaven sees. Heaven hears. Heaven leans close in your trembling. The one who whispers this message into your spirit is not trying to frighten you, but to stir you from numbness. You may think you are too small for this moment, but you are not. The same breath that sustains the stars sustains you. You are capable of more courage than you realize. Do not mistake urgency for panic. Panic scatters. Urgency focuses. Let this message sharpen you, not shatter you. You are being entrusted with knowledge so that you may act with wisdom. Take the first step, no matter how small. A message of love, a gesture of kindness, a simple acknowledgement. I see you. You matter to me. These small threads, woven consistently, can create a fabric strong enough to hold even a soul tempted to slip away. When the night feels heavy and the questions too many, remember this: love has never been wasted. Not once. Even if it does not achieve the outcome you hope for, it becomes part of the eternal story of good in this world. Your effort to love bravely will echo in ways you may never witness. Do not measure success only by whether the person stays. Measure it by whether you stayed true to love. The emergency is not meant to terrify you. It is meant to awaken you, to open your eyes before the chance is gone, to remind you that people are not guaranteed, that moments are fleeting, that love left unspoken is love at risk of being lost. Rise into this hour with faith. Do not let sleepiness of the spirit rob you of your chance to make things right. I will not leave you. I will strengthen you when your voice shakes, when your knees tremble, when your courage falters. Lean on me. Call to me. I am closer than your breath, nearer than your own heartbeat. I will walk with you into this room of decision, and I will not abandon you there. This is the continuation of your call. Do not turn away. Do not delay. The one you love is at the threshold. Choose now what you will do, and let love be your guide.